Hi, this is Majo John Madden on location at the Hampton Inn in Ciudad, Victoria, Tamaulipas State, Mexico. And I've been in and around this property for about 3 weeks now. One night as a guest, about a week as an informal guest back here when our truck blew this tire, as well as had some other things, and we were beached back here staying in my camper van for a week. And now we're guests again because the camper van is off in the shop getting some repairs done. And the spectacular mountains out there are the Sierra Madre Oriental, eastern range of the Sierra Mountains. Two long mountain ranges that run north to south through Mexico. The Sierra Madre Occidental, the western ones, are famous for the movies, and they're even bigger. But these have 12,000 foot peaks, not right here. I just spent 16 years in Asheville, North Carolina, in the Appalachian Mountains, the more gentle, feminine range of mountains in the U.S. Those peaks got up to 6,000 or 7,000 feet at the highest. These never, anywhere, nowhere in Appalachia do they rise up this sharply. And after our one night staying here, it was our second night in Mexico. After years, literally years of planning to move to Mexico. Second day after our big crossing where we're in now, and at 76, I may never go back across the border. I found out that there were mountains here. I had no idea that, because we're headed for the end of the Yucatan Peninsula, Cozumel area, and I had no idea that on this trip I would be near mountains. And we spent 2 nights at the Los Troncones Parque Ecologico. I think it's a Tamaulipas state or maybe a Mexican government park. Stunningly beautiful. And I came back so happy, so kind of ungrounded, honestly, from 48 hours there. That road out there where you can see the cars moving is La Avenida Tamaulipas. It's a city street, one of the main city streets in Victoria, and it's 8 lanes with 3 medians. Very unusual city street. And coming back in the dark on a Saturday night, trying to find the entrance to this hotel, I went over a median and did some serious damage to my van. And these people have been unbelievably welcoming and nurturing to us. Now, us means me and my big service dog, Magic here, who I think it's in the 90s today, and Magic is choosing to take some sun. Hi, Magic. Say hi to the people. No, Magic's just chilling. Magic is not dead, which is not really a good joke, because when we showed up, we also had a puppy named Pepe that we had adopted on our first day in Mexico. 3 hours into Mexico, we found this little puppy abandoned in the garbage area at an Oxxo convenience store. And I love my dogs, and I pretty much always want to have a dog. That's so wonderful species, and I do tend to develop magnificent dogs. Magic is a stunningly wonderful dog. But no way at 76 did I want to adopt a puppy. But I couldn't leave him in the garbage. So when we arrived, Pepe was with us, tiny little brown puppy, probably 6 weeks old. And that whole staff of that hotel adopted us. One night in the hotel, and we're family with that staff for life. And even though we were just stranded back here, we weren't guests anymore, we still were very much guests. They, in so many ways, extended themselves to us. They've been beautiful. And little Pepe, very tragically, Thursday of last week, died. We went for a long walk, and I was just praising Pepe for how strong, how fuerte he was getting, that he was charging through the weeds to keep up with his big brother here. And he overexerted himself, threw up his breakfast, choked, and I was not able to save him. And I'm a psychologist and in some ways a grief specialist. Certainly a trauma release specialist, that humans need to release their trauma for healing. And mostly they don't need drugs, they need trauma release, but unfortunately psychiatrists don't understand that. I participated a couple of years ago in Appalachia, where I started my 3 years of travel, in a weekend grief workshop. The traditional tribal African communal process of grief release. And I had just recently lost, very tragically, a dear friend, and I had a lot of grief to release, and it was unbelievably good. Well, what I learned from that is that you need a community to heal your grief. And this community, who all were so in love with little Pepe, grieved with us, cried with us. When I said I did not want to dump that little body into a dumpster, he came from the garbage. I said, he's not going back in the garbage, he's going in the earth. And by the afternoon, Fernanda, the guest services manager, and one of the other staff came by my room with a lovely box as a burial box for Pepe. And by evening, one of the other staff had volunteered to take Pepe to his property and give him a good burial there. I had been a northerner most of my life, but 16 years in Asheville, North Carolina, I learned to really value southern sweetness and slowness and hospitality, but never. And then we spent a year in South Texas here. Never anywhere have I found the kind of welcoming and nurturing and sweetness that this staff has shown. And they're all Latino. And I taught diversity in corporations. There is such a thing as data-based generalizations, a tendency of a group to operate a certain way. Latino people tend to be awfully sweet, awfully loving, fun, don't take themselves seriously. They are an amazing race of people, and I've yet to encounter one of them who does not say, well, we're not all that way. And I know that's true also. And unfortunately, the news too often is dominated by cartels and gangs. And Victoria actually is on the recent Trump State Department list of cities to avoid. No, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. It's a safe place now. And also another norm I've absorbed is that the police can be as dangerous as the cartels. Not in my experience. My experience with cops have been consistently good, including the cop sitting in the cruiser next to the garbage where I found little Pepe. And I asked this cop, I said, do you know anything about that puppy? And he didn't speak English, but we had enough language in common. And he says, no, I don't know how he got there, but I think you ought to take him. So, viva Latino, viva the Spanish, Latin people of Mexico. I do plan to live here the rest of my life. And Pepe and the Hampton Inn welcomed me to Mexico. And I'll never stop being grateful to that little doggy or these people.